The first year, living together felt perfect. Lily filled the house with laughter and plans for the future. We cooked dinners, watched shows, and made each other's lives lighter. On weekends, we'd go hiking or stay in bed talking about nothing. I thought I'd finally found peace. But small things started to shift. It began with her phone. Always face down. Always locked. When I asked, she said it was work stuff. Her job in marketing had long hours and demanding clients. I believed her. I wanted to. Then one night, she mentioned her ex-boyfriend, Jake. She said he'd texted her for closure. I didn't like the sound of that, but she laughed it off. He's just being dramatic, she said. A week later, she met him for coffee. Just to clear the air. She promised it meant nothing. I told myself not to be jealous. But jealousy wasn't the problem. It was intuition. My gut told me something was wrong. She started coming home later. She'd say she was helping a coworker with a project. Sometimes she smelled like a different cologne. When I asked, she smiled and said, "Oh, probably from the office." Little lies wrapped in warmth. They felt harmless until they didn't. My best friend, Mark, noticed the change before I did. We were having beers one Friday night. I told him about Jake calling again. Mark frowned. "Man, that's not normal. She's engaged to you, not her ex." I defended her. "She's just being kind. They have history." He shook his head. "Kindness doesn't look like secrecy." I laughed it off, but his words stuck with me. A few weeks later, Lily started getting mysterious calls. She'd step outside to answer them. When I asked who it was, she said it was her boss. Sometimes her voice was soft, almost pleading. I heard her say once, "Just trust me, I'll fix it." When I walked in, she jumped. Said it was a client issue. I wanted to believe her. I kept telling myself love means trust. But love without honesty is just blind faith. She began spending weekends with friends. She stopped sharing details about her day. Our conversations became shorter, colder. When she smiled, it didn't reach her eyes anymore. One night, I caught her scrolling through Jake's social media. She quickly switched tabs when I walked in. I asked if she missed him. She said no. Then why was he still in her phone, her mind, her life? She turned it on me. "You don't trust me anymore." Her voice cracked, just enough to make me feel guilty. I apologized. She hugged me tight, whispering, "We're fine." But we were. That night, as she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling. I wondered how love could turn so quietly into distance, and how someone you trusted could already be slipping away. After we got engaged, something in Lily changed. She became fixated on money, almost obsessed. She wanted to know everything about my finances. How much I earned, how much I saved, how much the house was worth. At first, I thought it was normal curiosity. Couples plan their futures right. But her questions came too often, too intense. She'd bring it up during dinner, during movies, even in bed. "How much equity do we have in the house?" she asked. "What if we used it to invest in something big?" I'd laugh it off, saying we were fine as we were. But she wouldn't drop it. She kept showing me articles about home loans and success stories. "Look, this couple took a loan and became millionaires," she said. I told her I wasn't interested in gambling with my home. She looked disappointed, almost angry. "Don't you want more than just this?" she said softly. "This house could make us rich." I told her the house was our home, not a lottery ticket. She didn't answer. Just stared out the window, silent. From that day, her warmth cooled. She stopped saying our home. She started saying your house. It stung more than I wanted to admit. Then she began staying out late again. "Client dinners," she'd say, dressing up more than usual. One night she came home after midnight, smelling like whiskey and smoke. I asked how the meeting went. She said it was productive. I saw a message light up her phone. It was from Jake. "Call me when you can." I didn't say anything. I just went to bed and pretended to sleep. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made coffee, hummed a song, kissed my cheek. I wanted to believe her so badly. But her eyes had changed. They were calculating now, always watching me. She began asking for documents. Tax papers, mortgage statements, anything with numbers. She said she wanted to help plan for our wedding budget. I thought it was thoughtful. It was. Later, I'd realized she was collecting my information. She even convinced me, let her handle some bills online. Said it would save me time. I trusted her like a fool. She smiled and said, "We're a team, remember?" I nodded, feeling lucky to have such a supportive partner. But beneath that smile was something cold. She was building a plan, one step at a time. At family dinners, she barely looked up from her phone. When my sister asked if everything was okay, I said yes. But deep down, I knew it was. Lily's world had shifted to something I couldn't see. And whatever it was pulling her further away from me. I just didn't know she was already setting the trap. And the thing she was betting on was my house. It started on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I was working from home when the mail arrived. Bills, flyers, and one strange envelope from a bank I didn't recognize. I opened it, expecting spam. Instead, my hands froze. It was a statement for a second mortgage on my house. A loan for $150,000. My name was printed on every page. But I had never applied for it. The date of approval hit me like a punch. 6 months ago. The exact week I'd been in San Francisco for a tech conference. I remembered Lily encouraging me to go. She said it would be great for networking. She even drove me to the airport. While I was gone, someone had taken a loan against my home. I called the bank immediately. The woman on the phone sounded calm, routine. "Sir, according to our records, you applied for this yourself." My voice shook. "That's impossible. I was out of state." She hesitated, then said, "We have your signature and notarized documents." My stomach dropped. I asked her to send copies. When the email arrived, I stared at the screen in disbelief. It was my signature. Almost. But not quite. The curve in the letters was wrong. The spacing off. Someone had forged it. The notary seal looked legitimate, which made it worse. This wasn't sloppy. It was planned. I dug through our home office searching for clues. Receipts, envelopes, anything out of place. Then I found a shoebox hidden in the back of Lily's closet. Inside were bank statements, all under her name. Each one showed transfers from the new loan account. The money had gone to an LLC I didn't recognize. Summit Ventures Capital Group. I searched it online. Nothing. No website. No business records. But the name of the registered owner made my blood run cold. Jake Miller. Lily's ex. The man she swore was just a friend. The man she'd been seeing behind my back. They, stolen from me. Together. I sat at my desk staring at the papers, my chest tight. Every lie she'd told suddenly made sense. The late nights. The secrecy. The obsession with the house. It wasn't curiosity. It was preparation. She used my trust to set the whole thing up. I opened our joint account online and felt sick. Withdrawals everywhere. Hotels, expensive dinners, jewelry stores. She'd been living a double life with my money. I wanted to confront her right then. But rage wouldn't fix this. I needed proof, solid evidence she couldn't erase. So I printed every statement, saved every file. I backed up the data to cloud storage. Then I sat in the dark, listening to the clock tick. The house around me felt different now. Colder. It wasn't our home anymore. It was the crime scene of my own life. I didn't confront Lily that night. I couldn't. I needed to know exactly how deep the lies went. I spent the next hours cross-checking documents. Every transaction, every email, every signature. The evidence piled up like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. She had forged my name and funneled everything to Jake. They built an entire fake company together. It was organized, deliberate, criminal. When I finally called Mark, my voice was shaking. He listened quietly as I explained everything. When I finished, he said, "Ethan, this is fraud. Call the police." His tone left no room for doubt. He worked in financial investigation. He knew what this meant. I sent him copies of everything through encrypted email. An hour later, he called back. "Man, this is bad. You've got solid proof, though. Don't tip her off." I thanked him and hung up. Then I contacted a lawyer named Richard Hale, recommended by Mark. He specialized in financial crimes. I met him the next morning, still sleepless. He flipped through the documents, eyebrows raised. "This is textbook mortgage fraud," he said. She could face prison time, maybe years. I asked what I should do. "First, document everything," he replied. "Second, report it to the police. Third, act normal until they're ready." His calm made it feel real. Someone I loved might actually go to jail. That night, Lily came home like nothing had changed. She smiled, kissed me, asked how my day was. I forced myself to smile back. Every word from her mouth sounded rehearsed. She poured wine and told a story about her boss. I nodded, pretending to listen. Inside, my chest burned. She was sitting on the couch she'd paid for with stolen money. Laughing, relaxed, confident I knew nothing. Her phone buzzed and she smiled at the screen. Probably Jake. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. But I said nothing. The next morning, I followed Richard's instructions. I went to the police station and filed a full report. Detective Morrison took the case. He was older, sharp-eyed professional. He skimmed the paperwork and let out a low whistle. "This is serious," he said. "We'll open an investigation immediately." He asked about the notary and the forged documents. I told him everything. He promised they verify every detail. When I left the station, I felt both empty and alive. For the first time, I wasn't just a victim. I was fighting back. Back home, Lily was cooking dinner. The smell of pasta filled the kitchen. I told her I was going to stay at Mark's for a few days. She looked confused. "Why, is something wrong?" I forced a smile. "Just need space. Work, been rough." She hugged me, said she understood. As I packed my bag, she hummed softly. She had no idea the walls were closing in. And soon, every lie she'd told would come crashing down. 2 days after I left, the call finally came. Detective Morrison told me they had enough evidence. Lily and Jake were both arrested that morning. I sat in silence, the words echoing in my head. It was over. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like losing a piece of myself. They had found the notary, a man Jake knew from college. He confessed immediately. Jake had paid him $5,000 to fake the paperwork. Lily forged my signature and handled the transfers. They thought they'd never get caught. But they underestimated how much proof I had. The detective said, they'll both face serious charges. Mortgage fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, forgery. Real crimes, not mistakes. I thanked him, though my voice was barely a whisper. When I hung up, I just sat there staring at the wall. 4 years of love gone in a single phone call. My parents found out that evening. My dad sighed and said, "Better now than after the wedding." My mom cried quietly, but told me I'd done the right thing. I believed her, even if it didn't make it easier. The next few days were chaos. Lily's parents called me nonstop. They begged me to drop the charges. Her father said she just made a bad decision. I told him fraud wasn't a decision you make by accident. He called me heartless. I hung up. Mark and his wife let me stay in their guest room. They kept me busy with food and small talk. But every night, I lay awake replaying everything. Her laugh, her promises, the way she looked at me like I was her future. It all felt like a lie now. A week later, the arraignment took place. I went, even though I didn't have to. Lily and Jake stood in front of the judge wearing orange jumpsuits. They looked pale, exhausted, broken. The judge read the charges one by one. Identity theft, forgery, mortgage fraud, money laundering. Each word felt heavier than the last. Their bail was set at $50,000 each. Lily's parents paid hers. Jake stayed in jail another week before his friends scraped together the money. Richard filed a civil suit the same day. We demanded the return of the $150,000 plus damages. The court froze their accounts immediately. The police kept digging into the so-called company. Summit Ventures Capital Group wasn't a business. It was a front for illegal gambling. Jake had been running underground betting websites. They used my house money to fund it and lost it all in months. Lily wasn't just watching. She was part of it. She helped manage the money and track bets. When I heard that, something inside me broke completely. The woman I was going to marry wasn't just a liar. She was a criminal. And now, both of them were finally paying the price. The trial dragged on for months. Every hearing felt like reopening an old wound. I sat in court, watching Lily across the room. She wouldn't look at me. Her lawyer tried to paint her as confused, manipulated by Jake. But the evidence said otherwise. Her handwriting was on the spreadsheets. Her name was on the bank transfers. She wasn't innocent. She was involved in every part of the scam. The prosecutor showed how they'd used my house to fund gambling sites. They lost almost everything in 3 months. Bad bets, bad luck, bad choices. When the verdict came, the courtroom fell silent. Guilty on all counts. Lily started crying. Jake stared straight ahead, no emotion left. The judge sentenced them to 3 years in prison. They could get out early for good behavior. I didn't care. No amount of time could balance what they took from me. Afterward, Richard called to tell me about the civil judgment. The court ordered them to repay $200,000. I knew I'd never see a dime. They had nothing left. But the judgment would follow them for life. Their credit ruined, their names stained. It was a strange kind of justice. The house remained mine. The bank removed the fraudulent loan after the investigation. I refinanced and rebuilt slowly, piece by piece. For months, the house felt haunted. Every room echoed with memories of lies. But over time, I made it mine again. New furniture, fresh paint, silence where chaos used to live. Friends told me I dodged a bullet. They were right, but it still hurt. Love doesn't disappear easily, even when it's poisoned. Sometimes, I'd catch myself wondering why she did it. Was it greed? Was it love for him? Or was I just another step in her plan? The questions never really left. But one day, I stopped needing the answers. I realized I survived something most people wouldn't. I'd lost money, trust, time. But I kept my home, my freedom, and my self-respect. A year later, I started dating again. Carefully, cautiously. No more shared accounts, no blind faith. I learned to trust slowly, and only when earned. One morning, Detective Morrison called to update me. He said Lily and Jake had broken up in prison. Each blamed the other for everything. Jake told everyone it was her idea. She told the guards he'd forced her into it. They turned on each other fast. There's no loyalty among thieves. Her parents still send me letters sometimes. They say I ruined her life. I never reply. She ruined her own life, the moment she betrayed mine. Now I walk through the same house with peace instead of anger. The walls are quiet again. The air feels clean. They lost their beds. I kept my home. And for the first time in years, I finally feel free. Time passed, and life slowly returned to normal. The house no longer felt like a battlefield. It was mine again, quiet, steady, safe. Sometimes I'd stand on the porch at night and breathe. The air felt lighter, without her lies in it. I'd think about how close I came to losing everything. Not just the house, but myself. She and Jake eventually disappeared from the news. No one talked about them anymore. Their names became whispers of a bad memory. Her parents stopped writing after a while. Maybe they finally accepted the truth. I never hated Lily. I just stopped caring. Hate keeps you tied to the past, and I wanted out. I focused on rebuilding, on being smarter, calmer, stronger. Trusting again took time, but I learned. Pain teaches you what love can't. Now when I lock my front door at night, I feel peace. Because this time, I know it's truly mine. They gambled with my life and lost. And somehow, I walked away still standing. Sometimes karma doesn't just catch up. It arrives right on time.